Public Schools. Thanks for joining us this evening. I am so excited to be in partnership this evening to support our students and our parents as we navigate the journey of getting ready to apply for college. As a mother of four, I've had quite a challenge myself in navigating these waters. So I'm sure you're going to learn a lot tonight about how to make that process a little bit easier. Um, Joining the Parent Academy this evening is the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Xi Delta Omega chapter. I'm honored to join them tonight to talk about the college admission process, or hashtag CAP. And I'm going to turn it over to President Valerie Outlaw, who's going to walk us through the presentation and give you some tips and tricks on how to get ready for that college admission process. So, President Outlaw.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us. So good evening again. My name is Valerie D. Outlaw. I am the president of the local chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority. We're going to talk to you a little bit today about the sorority in general. I'm going to talk to you about our chapter. And finally, I'm going to shed some light on our local chapter services that we provide. So next slide, please. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority is the first Greek-lettered organization formed by African American women in the United States. It all began in 1908 by 16 young, daring women on the campus of Howard University in Washington, D.C. They were inspired by the injustices that they saw and wanted to create equality by developing the robust mission ideas you see labeled on the slide before you, labeled 1 through 5. I'd like to call your attention to the number 5, which is service to all mankind. That is what we do. That is in our heart. That permeates all the things that we plan for. We think about what can we do, how can we serve, where is the service needed. Mission items number 1 is encouraging high scholastic standards. Mission area number 4 is to maintain a progressive and outlook for, progressive and interest in college life. This is what has brought us to being here today. And we are so pleased to be a part of the Parent Academy and to partner with you in the future. Today, our sorority is headed by Dr. Glenda Baskin Glover. We have over 300,000 members. We have 1,026 chapters, which include international chapters. Our international president, as I mentioned, is also the president of Tennessee State University. Dr. Glover has implemented the international platform titled Exemplifying Excellence Through Sustainable Service. The platform has 5 targets, which we will talk about in a few minutes. The sorority membership is divided into 10 different regions. Next slide, please. Our local chapter, Xi Delta Omega chapter, is located in the North Atlantic region, the box with the green check. What is not shown are the international chapters, which are located across the globe. We do all come from various backgrounds. We have various careers, and we all come together to serve our communities and to provide service to all mankind. Next slide. I mentioned Xi Delta Omega chapter, which is our local chapter. We were chartered in 1982 by 19 dynamic women. Our chapter serves Harford and Cecil counties, and we've done that consistently for the last 38 years. Next slide. Today, our chapter is a robust 83 members strong, and we do much more in our community. Our members are diverse, as like I've mentioned before. The one thing that we all have in common is the desire to serve our community. Next slide. Earlier, I talked about Dr. Linda Glover, our international president, and our international platform service. Under the platform of exemplifying excellence, we have 5 target areas. Each chapter in the sorority is to provide service under the guidance of these target areas. Target 1 is all about instigating and supporting the progressive interest in college life. We'll put a pin in that for now because Ophelia Cabell will talk in depth about that a little bit later. Let me touch on targets 2 through 5. Target 2, women's health, is all about raising awareness to critical health issues impacting African American women, such as breast cancer awareness, heart health, and nutrition. Target 3, building your economic legacy, is all about sharing and emphasizing financial planning, asset accumulation, managing debt, and improving credit. One of the things I've learned from delivering information as part of this service to the community was the importance of preparing a living will. A living will is all about what you want your family members to do if you're in an IC unit in the hospital. What do you want your family to do? And that's so important as we live through this pandemic crisis. Target 4, the arts. Every chapter is charged with exposing students to the arts by focusing on visual and performing arts through the exposure of writers, dancers, painters, and other art genres. The Harlem Renaissance period and the Black arts movement have been the area of exploration that we've provided service about. Target 5, global impacts. This is the target where we endeavor to enhance our international footprint by collecting gently worn shoes for souls for souls. This organization creates jobs by having employees repair and reuse materials from the shoes and distributing those shoes around the world. Next slide, please. Here is just a quick snapshot of the different icons for which our organization has partnered with. I just mentioned the Souls for Souls and collaborating with collecting shoes. There is the American Heart Association and the collaboration that we've done with them in terms of awareness for heart health for our population. We work with the Welcome One, supporting healthy eating and economic empowerment. We have partnered with the Lions Club to collect eyeglasses that have been distributed across the globe. I'd like to share that I have actually personally been a part of a medical mission that distributed glasses to the Philippines. I spent 3 weeks in the Philippines, visiting 4 different villages, spending at least 3 days at each village. I can just share with you that the communities there, the people there were so appreciative of the thousands of eyeglasses that we were able to distribute. Lastly, on this slide, I'd like to bring your attention to the fact that we do also raise funds, and those funds are awarded to Harford and Cecil County residents in the form of scholarships. So scholarships are awarded, and we promote the students and gather as many scholarships applications as we can to broaden our awareness and increase our footprint in the community to give out those funds. Since we've started raising funds in 1998, we've raised over $147,000 to deliver and give to Harford County and Cecil County residents. Lastly, I want to pull that pin out of the target 1 that I mentioned earlier, which is college and admissions process. And I'd like to hand it over to Ophelia Cabell to talk more about Target One, and the hashtag CAP program. Before I do that, I'd like to thank uh, the Parent Academy for having us, and I hope for a long and prosperous partnership in the coming years. Thank you all. Arphelia?
Thank you so much, President Outlaw. I appreciate that. So I'm going to talk to you about what Valerie mentioned. This is our signature program for Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and for Xi Delta Omega chapter, hashtag CAP. Next slide, please. So we keep saying hashtag CAP. Well, what exactly is it? Is it a place? Is it a thing? Is it a group? Hashtag CAP is the college admissions process program, and it's launched by Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority. It was launched in 2018. The premise of this program is to help demystify the college admissions process and help high school students gain admission to college and enroll. But it also is a place. It's a roadmap for families. It's also a network. And it is many things, and it is also just somewhere that our students and families can go to get the help that they need for the college admissions process and understanding more about it. Next slide, please. So Xi Delta Omega chapter, we do this in a number of ways. And the ways that we help our students and families are we help to work to complete the college application itself. We actually help to understand the SAT and ACT and test optional schools. There's a lot of language behind that. And our last, one of our last CAP workshops, we had a presenter who really helped break down that language for us, because a lot of this entire process can get pretty confusing. And that is what hashtag CAP is for. We are helped to be the link from families and for students and for schools as well to understand more about it. We help by assisting students with the college essays and personal statements. We also help to identify scholarships and financial aid opportunities. That is something in itself that is daunting. As a parent, I was listening to Mary Beth talk about just that whole process and just searching for that alone. That can be a lot. We administer CAP in the form of monthly, weekend virtual workshop sessions. We also do college-related events and activities. We can do this through college fairs and festivals. We have not put on a college fair festival ourselves as hashtag CAP, but we have taken students to college festivals. And we also continually keep our parents and students notified through email and social media updates. Next slide, please. All right, so the link between hashtag CAP and HBCUs, as the signature program for Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, we are strongly committed to promoting the legacy and the history of historically Black colleges and universities. We make sure that students and families everywhere are aware of the benefits and achievements available from an HBCU education. Many people simply don't know, or they don't know where a lot of HBCUs are located. Or we have 4 right here in Maryland, 4 of the biggest, but some people just don't know. And we're part of that too. We're part of that education process and bringing knowledge to everyone about historical Black colleges and universities. Next slide, please. So why is there a need for hashtag CAP? As we stated earlier, hashtag CAP was created by Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority International President, Dr. Glenda Baskin Glover. She is also the president of Tennessee State University, and she saw the growing need to help high school students and families who are, probably first generation college students, just trying to understand the process in general, have concerns about how to apply, where to apply, what's the new information? Where do I go to get these resources? Those who have concerns, and who have about the financial burden of college, that's stressful in itself. And just for those who are not aware of the vast amount of resources available to them, um, who can participate in CAP. Hashtag CAP is for high school juniors and seniors and their parents. All right, so how does hashtag CAP actually work? Hashtag CAP utilizes the STEP process as a plan for success. Xi Delta Omega, we structure our program around the STEP the STEP process with our calendar system. So it begins with S for search, and we have the T for test, E for evaluate, P for paperwork, and P again for positivity or positive outlook. So the search for schools generally begins in about August through September. That is where we work with the juniors on just who are fresh out, don't even know where to look. So this is now the time where they need to actually get going and just start looking for schools. Seniors, that's a little bit more, that's where they have to start tightening things up. This is where they actually start getting into the selection of schools. So it works a little differently for both, but we administer our program to both at the same time. Test preparation, the T for test is in October, and that is where our presenters usually inform our students about the testing process, and there's a lot of new information there because so many schools are going test optional. So we make sure that they are knowledgeable about that. But we also make sure that they are ready if they're not going to take if they are going to take the test, then that they are prepared. So we do have SAT prep guides who help our students in workshops as well. E for evaluate, that is when what we just had our last workshop, where it's for seniors, it's no more looking. It's time to start selecting your schools. And for the juniors, they still have some time to look around. But how do you actually evaluate a school? How do you get down to a short list? What's the pros and cons of different schools? What school offers this? And where should I go? Where should I know where to actually how to whittle down my list? So that's what that workshop is for evaluate. And we have paperwork for P. That's in December through January. That's when we actually start filling out the application, because then we get to the last P for then that February, where we get to a positive outlook, to where no matter what happens, we're looking ahead. We're looking ahead with positivity. We still serve as guides for our students. We're encouraging, and we're still empowering and staying in touch. The next slide, please. Okay. Oops. What do students have to do to join hashtag CAP? So hashtag CAP members come from everywhere. They come from obviously our educators and our school system, our guidance counselors, our family members, even from us, obviously, as chapter members, from church organizations, from sports leagues, from employers, and from other youth groups. They're selected from all around. People are actually, can help give the application to members, and they're getting it some kind of way. They come to our website. We drive traffic through our social media. So students and parents must fill out a paper copy application or the PDF file application, and they can return that to us, submit it to cap at akaxideltaomega.com, or we could even come pick it up. We can just make arrangements to pick up the application from you. All right, so this part, we break down the actual application. And so the first page is just a standard contact information page. It's asked for your name, school, emergency information. The second page is a parental consent and responsibility form. We do have media, and we do need parents. We need your consent, that your photograph will be taken. It will be, in our program guides and marketing. And, we need other information from students, such as report cards, and also just making sure that parents are on the responsible end of this program, that they're going to see it through with their student from beginning to end. All right, and the third page is the student code of conduct page, and that's to be signed solely by the student to make sure that they understand all of our expectations of the program, and that there are behavior expectations as well as academic expectations. We want our students to feel comfortable also in talking to us about if there is an academic situation or problem that they may need. We have students who may be embarrassed to say, hey, what, I really need some extra counseling, or I might need some tutoring. But we want students to be able to tell us that, and that is part of the student code of conduct. That is holding up their end of the bargain of saying, okay, you know what, I know I need help. I want to go to college, but I need some extra supports. And we would expect that students do come to all the workshops, sessions, and all of our events and activities, that they, as well as the parent, there's a bond that they follow through from beginning to end with the program. And the last page is a CAP pre and post assessment for students to fill out. It's a brief survey that it's data collection, but it is also for us to understand more about the type of school that the student goes to, what their interests are, what their, what they possibly want to major in, just to find out maybe like at what point in the process what about the college process do they know already, and what they might need more help with. And next page, please. And here are some pictures from some of our workshops. These were a lot of fun. I miss them right now. So we had our first one was Financing Your Education with Dr. Ellen Frischberg, working with high school seniors and parents to understand the financial aid. And notice I said high school seniors. This was not for juniors, because when you're a senior, and especially parents, you're at that critical stage. I know I'm actually in it right now, so I understand fully what I didn't then. But we had another workshop. This is a picture from another one, the application process now what? And this was conducted by Stephanie Sudbrook of Hartford Technical. And that is solely with the juniors to get them into that beginning stage of understanding exactly what they need to do in the running for the college process. Excuse me.
So I'd like to introduce Lori Hackett. Thank you so much, President Outlaw and Ms. Cabell, for that fabulous overview. I have my last child is in 9th grade, so I may have to look into this. This looks like excellent support, so thank you for that. Lori Hackett is a school counselor at Bel Air High School who's joined us this evening to kind of support us in our conversation around how could #CAP and what we also offer in the school kind of work together for families. So if you have a question, you can go ahead and put it in the chat. But I have a few to get us started, Lori, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so as Ms. Cabell was talking, she had some examples of some excellent presentations that the #CAP offer. Thinking about virtual applications now and admissions process, can you talk a little bit about what families should know about perhaps what's changed? And maybe even some of our panelists don't even know, right? Because I know I don't. Like what's changed now that we've got a virtual environment, remembering that we're filming this right now while we were in 100% virtual instruction. Any thoughts or ideas on how families can do that?
Sure. So thank you for allowing me to be a resource this evening. I really appreciate it. So, what has changed is schools are offering virtual tours. So, if you are not familiar with the school's campus, if you have no idea what it looks like, if you want to talk to an admissions rep, there are lots and lots and lots of virtual tours. As indicated in the previous slides, the ACT and the SATs are test optional. You may take the test if you like. However, you will not be counted negatively should you submit your application without scores. Now, the purpose that you would want to use your scores would be if you think it'll give you a leg up in your application process. If your scores are absolutely fabulous, above the range of 1200 for the SAT, then I would suggest you submit them because you worked really, really hard, right? Uh, but again, you do not have to do that. It's test optional for some schools, and your school counselor has a list of schools who are test optional. So your school counselor is your absolute invaluable resource. Another thing is if you're thinking about taking the SAT or the ACT, some scholarships still want to know what your test scores are. So keep that in mind when you apply to some scholarships. They still may ask you, what were your SAT and ACT scores? Um, if you are having a financial crisis, since we're in COVID or for any reason, and you are not able to afford the application fees, speak to your school counselor. He or she can write you a letter to the admissions office and see if they can get that waived for you. Not a lot of students know that because application fees, as we all know, are non refundable. So they can range anywhere from $25 to $100, and you're not going to get that money back. So if you are having, some difficulties paying that, reach out to your school counselor.
That's fabulous insight right now. And just to add to that, Ms. Cabell spoke to how hashtag CAP helps students really look at their strengths and look at their, the experiences that they've had in high school and how to highlight those, right? So thinking again about virtual, we have many of our athletes right now who are not doing sports, and we have many of our musicians who may not be playing, and we have our singers and dancers. And so is that something else that colleges are considering now as we have students who may not have participated and be able to show that work the way they have in years past?
Absolutely. So, if you are a student who plays sports even outside of school, I know many students have tapes, videotapes of what they've been doing. That's something that they can submit to the colleges. I know some colleges are having open auditions for students in the performing arts. So, you'll be able to do that virtually, and they will take that as your application, part of your application packet. So they can still do all of those things. So it doesn't just have to be school based, it can be outside of school as well, any activities.
Excellent. Wonderful. And I wanted to ask you a question, Ms. Cabell's follow up for your presentation, if I could. Thinking about the advantage of the extra help that you've seen students receive through hashtag CAP. Once they're accepted into the application process and they receive your support, you you really probably have some success stories, and I would just love to hear how that really has been an advantage for some students over the years.
So the advantage that it has been for many students is having just that network, that support, that extra outside of school, having that to have just a group of professionals to give them that support, to help have them with tutoring, as mentioned before, any extra supports, even letters of recommendation, that's something that students need.
And
So
that's something I was going to ask you because I know that's such a heavy lift. Our students don't really think, well, who's going to recommend me? And I don't know. And
exactly, right. And we encourage that. And we encourage them, we've gotten to know you, you've been through the program. We know your, as you say, your strengths, and we know what your interests are. we've gotten to know what schools that you're even interested in and where you're applying. So that has been I think a huge advantage that many of our students and parents have been thankful for with the #CAP program.
Yeah, and just to think about the parents being thankful, I think that scholarship and application, the scholarship process, right? I think that's what I heard you say. And I remember with all of my children, an acceptance letter doesn't necessarily mean that that's something that we can accept. And I
Right.
think that's hard for kids to understand, that it's great you got in, but now we need to have the conversation about what we can afford as a family. And it sounds like #CAP helps the family figure that out.
We do. We do. We work with families and with students to explore options. And sometimes that may be just sitting down and saying, did you know that this is available? And and we get that information too. And and that's a great partnership we have with counselors. And I know Ms. Subbrook was such a huge help to us, and and gave us so many resources the last time. And with our presenters that come in that say, hey, we should let your students know about this or this scholarship opportunity, or this financial aid opportunity with this certain school. That is, those things are all very helpful, particularly to parents, because as a parent myself, I want to know what else is out there, what's available. And we serve as that network for our students.
Well, that's powerful. And Ms. Hackett, thinking about our first generation college bound students, right? The first child in the family that's going to go to college. Um, it sounds like #CAP helps with this as well. But what do you do, Lori, to help kids kind of change their mindset to say, yes, you can, right? You can do this. This can happen. And I'm sure this might be a question for both of you, both Ms. Cabell and Ms. Hackett.
Sure. I can speak personally at our school. I run a first generation group each year. This is my second year doing it. And so we basically start out with what are your goals? What does it mean for you to be the first in the family? What kind of weight is that on you? How can I help you? What are your expectations? And what really does it mean for you to go off and leave your family to achieve that goal? So I just prepare the students for everything and anything that may come up, because you never know what is going to take place once you enter college. Even if you haven't stepped foot on the college campus, you have no idea. So what I try to do is to discuss with them the various offices on campus. Where do I go for help? Who can I talk to if I'm not doing well in a class? How can I meet new friends? How can I still stay in touch with my family, even though I am the one leaving? So those are the things that we discuss in our group. And also, it's a nice way for them to meet other first generation students, so they know that they're not alone, right? Mm-hmm. So I always say it's our journey. It's not just their journey. We're doing this together. And I encourage them to check back in, to let us know how they're doing, and to keep us as a resource as well.
That's excellent. And Ms. Cabell, just to add on to that, it sounds like perhaps that extra support, even after they get into college, is something that #CAP can provide. You do stay in touch with your students that are in your program?
We do. And also just because many of them have siblings that are still in the program now. So we do stay in touch. And we serve as, as Ms. Hackett said, that we serve as mentors. So those personal stories are really important, from our chapter members. We serve as mentors, we give them personal stories from our own journey, and being able to be there for them and just to support them and say, hey, you can still, are there other things that you're interested in, beyond college, what are your interests? That's a huge help to students.
Well, that's a great point, that sometimes we have to have conversations with our children to say, okay, college is one step in the process to a career.
Right.
that you will eventually leave
All of
my
this.
house.
Right.
So it sounds like #CAP can provide that help, which is awesome, because that's really the end goal for mom and dad. They really want to get those kiddos out and doing that career and thriving.
Yes.
So that's fabulous. Thank you. Well, I looked at the chat box and it doesn't look like we have any other questions this evening. So I'll turn it over to you one more time, Ms. Hackett. Anything else you want to share about school counseling in Harford County?
Sure. So, your school counselors are your go-to people in the school. Even virtually, we are accessible. Please reach out to any of your school counselors. We can help you with a financial aid process. We can point you in the direction of scholarships. We can talk to you about the Common Application. We can talk to you about the Common Black College application as well. We can tell you about different colleges and introduce you to various things that are important to you as you go to college. And I just want to point out really quickly for everyone who has filled out the financial aid application, if you are not 18, they will not process your application. So if you're 17, then you're going to have to look for some scholarships to help you until you turn 18 for that process. So in case you were not aware of that, when you fill out your financial aid application, if you're not 18, they will not process it until you do turn that age.
Very good. Thank you for that information. And Ms. Cabell, President Outlaw, I'll give you both the last word as we wrap up this evening and all the great information about #CAP. So any final thoughts?
Yes, I do, because there is one other facet that I think is important to note, and then I'll close it out, and that is the parent piece of this. We've talked a lot about the student, but as the student goes off to college, the parent is left behind to continue to raise that family and have some concerns. So the CAP program is there for that parent as well, and I'm sure that the guidance office is there for that parent as well, especially if they have other students in the high school. So I just wanted to share that, because that is some anxiety for the parent as well, as that student who they've come to depend on may be leaving out.
Yeah, and that's a big transition for every family. And I don't think everybody really knows how much of a change it will be. So having that support from your circle of support, I'm sure is just so beneficial for parents. So that's great to hear.
Yep. And I think, Arphelia, is there anything else before I close us out?
There is. I just want to encourage parents to sign up. It's great. I shouldn't say I'm excited about it, but the virtual part of it, that has added another element to it. I feel like it's added a little bit more of a more intimate connection. As remote as we are, it actually does bring more people in, and you're able to ask your questions that you need all in one place. So we have been doing our virtual workshops. We're going full strength with that right now, and still sending out information to families on a regular basis. So I encourage parents to sign students up. Definitely get on board. Definitely get some mentorship and some help in this area.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. So I would like to close this out by thanking everyone on this virtual meeting today, and those who will listen a little later. We certainly are here to serve. Please give us a call. Please reach out to your counselors at school. We welcome everybody. This is an inclusive activity, and we strive to make sure that everybody is successful. Thank you to all. And to all, a good night. All right, thank you.